Hey everybody, this is going to be your dynamic warm-up that you're going to use as a warm-up for the entire 4-week program. It's a great dynamic warm-up that will warm up our lower body and our upper body and get us ready for any workout. This shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to do. We're actually going to do this together, so I'm going to do everything the full warm-up in real time so you can follow along with this video every single workout. So the first thing that we're going to do is start with a foam roller. So if you don't have a foam roller, that's totally okay. If you'd like to invest in one, I think it's a great investment. But if not, it's fine. You can go ahead and fast forward this video to the stretching portion of the video. If you do have a foam roller, let's go ahead and get into that together. So we're going to be starting with the lower body, and we're going to foam roll our glutes and our hips first. So to do that, you're going to sit down onto the foam roller. If I'm foam rolling my left glute, I'm going to fold my left leg onto my right knee just like this. That allows me to get deeper into the hip on the lateral side as I foam roll my glutes. So what I'm going to do is move nice and slow. Okay, and what we're going to be doing here is foam rolling for at least a minute on each side. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start the timer, and what we're looking for here is anything that I call them speed bumps. So any knots or any points of tenderness or anything that you feel like is a little painful, is maybe calling out your attention. You're going to try and find that spot, and then when you find that spot, if you hit a point like that feels tender, you're just going to stop there. Inhale, exhale, take some deep breaths, hold. You can even squeeze your glute onto that spot and then relax, and then keep rolling and moving on. So basically we're working from the very bottom portion of the glute where it meets your hamstring all the way up into the top of your hip. And again, if you lean towards the right, you can get more of the outside of your hip. And if you move towards the right, you can get more towards your spine. But we're mainly looking for the glutes and hips and looking for any tender areas. So that covers the left side, and we're going to go ahead and switch sides. Okay, so again, if I'm rolling my right glute, I'm going to fold my right leg onto my left knee. And again, here, I'm just looking for any points of tenderness. And when I find that area, I'm just going to stop and hold. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then move on. Breathing is a really important part of foam rolling, because if you are very tight or you feel really sore one day and you're doing this, like, you really need to breathe. It's about improving blood flow and driving blood flow to the areas that we're about to work in the workout. So this is a really important step. If you have a foam roller, it's really important to kind of spend the time and to kind of seek out these areas that are maybe potential areas of tenderness or something that would keep us from being able to fully access certain ranges of motion in the workout. Okay, so that covers the glutes and hips. Okay, so basically that's it for the lower body. Now we're going to move up to the upper body. With the foam rolling, we're just looking to hit major muscle groups here. So now I'm going to hit my upper back and my shoulders. Okay, so I'm going to lay back, and I'm going to start with the foam roller just at the bottom portion of my ribs. So I'm going to lie back on it like this, like I'm about to do a hip bridge. I'm going to lift my hips up off the ground. Okay, I can fold my arms in front of me like this, or I can put them behind my head, whatever is most comfortable. And basically, I'm just going to slowly roll up towards the top of my shoulders. Okay, all through my mid and upper back. And from this position, I can roll over towards the left side, towards my left shoulder to get more into that shoulder blade. Okay, and I can also do the same thing. I can roll towards my right side and try to access some of those tender parts of the shoulder that might be stiff. If you sit at a desk all day for work or anything like that, this is a great way to kind of loosen up this upper back area, which tends to be folded forward and kind of hunched over. This will allow you to help open up some of that muscle tissue so that you can get you going back and towards extension, which will be really beneficial when we get into the upper body portion of the workout. So again, if you find any points of tenderness, just kind of feel that weight, hold on there. Take a nice deep breath. So part of this foam rolling process is kind of preparing your body for the workout, but also trying to relax, which sounds like the opposite of what you'd want to do, but really you want to decrease the amount of stress before we start to ramp it back up again. So once you come with the foam roller in your mid back, one other thing that you can do is stretch back over. Okay, again, slowly rolling all the way up up to the top of your shoulder blades, down towards the middle of your back, and back up. Okay, stretch over the foam roller. It feels really good. All right, and back up. Now, if you did that and you don't feel any areas of tightness or it's not painful for you, that's totally okay. You don't have to hang out there longer than 1 minute on each side, 30 seconds to a minute on each side. If everything feels good, you can go ahead and move to the other side or to a different body part. If you do feel a lot of tenderness in one area, it is okay also to spend more time there. Okay, so now we'll do the stretching portion of the warm-up. Alright, so if you have a yoga mat, an exercise mat, or anything like that, you can use that for the stretching, obviously. I have this foam pad that I'm going to use, and I'm going to face this way so that you can see me. Okay, so the first stretch we're going to do is for our lower body. It's called a half-kneeling hip flexor stretch. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is create a 90-degree angle in the front here with your knee and your hip, and a 90-degree angle in this back leg as well. Toes can be tucked under or flat, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I feel like toes pointed down gives me more traction to get into the stretch. So here what I'm going to do is sit up nice and tall. I'm going to rotate my pelvis, tuck my pelvis under, okay? And what I'm looking to do here is stretch the hip flexor in my left leg. So if my right leg is in front of me, I'm stretching the hip flexor on my left leg. So sitting up nice and tall, okay, I'm going to squeeze the glute. Okay, so if your right leg is in front, I'm going to squeeze my left glute. And I'll feel more of a stretch in the front of that left leg. And then I'm just going to slowly move forward until I feel that pull here in the front, and then I'm going to push out of it. So I'd like you to come to the point where you feel a stretch and then back out. So we're going to kind of oscillate into a stretch and out of a stretch. And we're going to do this for about 30 seconds. Okay, so each time you come forward, I'd like you to try to get deeper and deeper into the stretch. I don't want you to flop down and come into like a semi-pigeon pose like this. I want you to stay upright and try to really focus on tucking that pelvis under, squeezing this glute, and coming to a point where you feel a stretch here in the front of your left leg and then pushing out. All right, so it's been about 30 seconds, and what I'd like you to do now is come to that furthest point that you can, keeping your body upright, so again, not folding forward. And then we're just going to hold it this time. So we're going to come to that furthest point of range of motion, and we're going to hold. And we're going to hold this for about 10-15 seconds. Again, keep this glute on, squeeze this glute on the left side so that you feel a deeper stretch here in the hip flexor. 3, 2, 1, and switch sides. All right, so I'm going to flip around. And basically we're going to do the exact same thing on the right side. All right, so tuck that pelvis under. Sit up nice and tall. My left leg is in front now. I've got my 90-degree angle. All right, and I'm going to oscillate into the stretch and out. Into the stretch and out. And we're going to do this for 30 seconds. And remember, each time we're going to try and get deeper and deeper into the stretch. I've got my right glute squeezed. I've got my pelvis tucked under. I feel that stretch here in my front hip flexor. If you don't really feel anything in this stretch, that's possible that your hip flexors are not tight, and that's totally okay. We still want to try to warm them up because we're going to be doing a lot of lower body work in these workouts, so it's important to know that we're still prepping those muscles for the work ahead. All right, we're almost there. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, come to that furthest point and hold. All right, we're going to hold this for 10 to 15 seconds. Still keep squeezing this glute on the right side. Throughout the stretching, remember to breathe. So to relax, take some nice deep breaths. Hold 3, 2, 1, and relax. All right, so that's our half kneeling hip flexor stretch. All right, the next stretch that we're going to show you, I'm going to give you 2 views. Okay, we're going to stretch our adductors, which is the inside of our thighs. So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to show you from this side actually, is come down onto your hands and knees, and we're going to extend your left leg out to the side. All right, so one leg's going to be out. Now it's important that your foot that's extended out is flat on the ground, okay, so not bent up like this, but facing forward, flat on the ground. I'm going to hinge my hips back and put my hands on the ground. Okay, so now I'm going to turn around to show you what this should look like from the side. Okay, I want my back flat, okay, so I don't want to arch like this. Back flat, I'm going to slowly, with that leg extended, push my hips back towards this back heel. Okay, so this is a muscle that's pretty commonly tight on a lot of people, so I want you to just kind of work with the range of motion. If you can't go all the way back to your heel, that's okay. But basically, you're going to push your hips back towards your heel and then rock back. So just like we did with the hip flexor stretch, we're going to come into the stretch and push out. So I'm basically just going to kind of rock back and forth here. And each time, I'd like you to try and get closer and closer to that heel. Okay, and just like we did with the hip flexor stretch, we're going to do this for about 30 seconds of rocking in and out. All right, and it's about been that time, so this last one, I want you to come all the way back and then hold for 15 seconds. Now, the goal with this, similar to the hip flexor stretch, is that each time you're trying to get a deeper range of motion than before. So the idea is over the course of that 30 seconds, you're trying to increase the range of motion that you have access to, and then we're holding the stretch at that range of motion. So 3, 2, 1, and rest, and now we're going to switch sides. Okay, so same thing. So now my right leg is going to be extended. I'm still trying to keep my back flat. Again, I'm going to push my hips back towards my heel and rock back. Each time, trying to increase that range, keeping this foot flat on the floor. Also remembering to breathe. So getting some good, nice deep breaths here. All right. Keeping my back nice and flat. All right, and now a couple more, and then we're going to hold. All right, so on this next one, we're going to hold for 15 seconds. All right, hold this stretch. Try to keep your back flat. Try not to sink down towards the floor, so stay upright. Maintain a really good position here. Nice deep breaths. 3, 2, 1, and relax. All right, so those are our stretches that we'll be doing for the lower body. Okay, so now we're going to move to the upper body. So just like we foam rolled our upper back and our back, the backs of our shoulders and our upper back, now we're going to stretch that area as well. So I have a bar here that I can hold on to get this last stretch. I understand that a lot of people probably don't have something like that, and that's okay. What you can do also is use a countertop or anything that, a back of a chair, anything that you can hold on to and stretch like this is going to be great. So again, back of the couch, chair, countertop, anything like that. You can even do this in a doorway. So what you're going to do is put your hands on that, whatever object you're using, feet about hip width apart. You're going to shift your hips back, and you're just going to, keeping your back flat again here, you're going to allow your head to sink down in between your shoulders. So you should feel that stretch here in your lats and your upper back, and probably in the backs of your shoulders if that area is super tight as well. So just like with the other stretches, we're going to kind of come in and out. So you're going to come up and then sink down. Come up and sink down. And for 30 seconds, we're going to try to increase the range of motion that you can come down and sink further down past your shoulders each time. Again, remember to breathe. Okay, you should also, if you've ever had any low back tightness, you might feel this there as well. All right, so again, for 30 seconds, in and out. Good. And then last one, we're going to hold for 15 seconds. So I'm going to come as far as I can into that range of motion that I just created and hold. Again, remember to breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now I've stretched those major areas and I've foam rolled those major areas. So now we're going to get into more of a movement prep. So if you have any kind of resistance bands at home, you can use this for this next portion of the warm-up. If you don't have any type of resistance bands, and they can be super light, like they're not meant to, you don't need a heavy one. If you don't have that, you can also use a broomstick, For this demonstration, I'm going to use a PVC pipe that I have. Okay, but if you have a broom, a mop, anything that's long, like a long pole like this, you can use that. So now that we opened up some new ranges of motion in the shoulders, now we're going to try to access those. Okay, so you're going to get your broomstick or whatever you're using, you're going to get a wide grip so that the bar meets your hip crease right here in the front, and I'll show you from the side. So what we're going to try to do is, without overarching through the back like this and keeping my arms totally straight, I'm going to come out in front of me, up, around, and back, all the way around till the bar or the broom touches my back, and then back around. Now, this might be difficult at first to be able to complete that full rep without having to bend the arms. So that's where using something like a pole or a broom that doesn't have any elasticity to it can allow you to pull outward to keep those arms straight. If you can't, just go with the range of motion that you have. So you might find the first time that you do this, maybe I can only come to right here before I need to bend my arms and kind of compensate like that. Then that's the range of motion that you're going to work with. So keeping your arms straight, you're going to come forward, up. Let's say that my arms get stuck here. I can't go any further, so I'm just going to come back around. And just like our stretches, each rep, you're going to try to increase that range of motion. So we're going to do a set of 10 here. So around and back is 1 rep. Okay, so you might find over the course of the 10 reps that you're able to access a little bit more range as you break through and have more access into that shoulder range of motion. Okay, so that's 5. All right, so go ahead and do this for 10 reps. Again, trying to increase that range of motion that you get each time. Moving nice and slow. There's no benefit to doing this fast, okay? We're working nice and slow and controlled, keeping those ribs down. Notice that as I come up, I'm not arching my back, I'm not bending to one side to kind of fake that range of motion. I'm only working with what I feel comfortable working with, and then I'm coming back. Okay, last one. All right, so your shoulders should be nice and warm now. Okay, so we're going to build on that. The next thing that I'd like you to do is come down onto the floor into a push-up position. All right, so high push-up position. Okay, and we're going to do a scapular push-up. So a scapular push-up means that I'm going to push the floor away from me as much as I can, allowing my upper back to arch, and then I'm going to allow my body weight to sink down towards the floor. Now, I'm not going to be doing a regular push-up, so I'm just going to allow my shoulders to sink down towards the floor, squeezing those shoulder blades together, and then I'm going to push the floor away so that my upper back arches. Notice this whole time that I'm trying to keep a straight line for my shoulders, hips, and legs. Okay, so I'm going to push the floor away, drop my chest to the floor. Push the floor away, drop the chest to the floor. I'm going to do 10 reps of this. Good, so as you get your shoulders nice and warm. Okay, we're going to get a few more here. This also acts as a good plank exercise. Okay, so 10 reps of scapular push-ups. All right, after that, we're going to warm up the lower body and do something a little bit more dynamic. Okay, so what you'll need for this, you can do this in a doorway if you want to hold on to the door jamb. If you have a pole or anything outside, anything, or a heavy chair, anything that can support your body weight. You want to grab onto something that you can kind of lean back on that will stay sturdy. Okay, so these are called wall walk squats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my squat position. So that's feet just outside hip width, okay? And I'm going to use this support to lean back and to kind of slowly walk my hands down into a squat until I can come into this bottom squat position. Now, if I wasn't holding on to anything, like I might fall backwards, right? But that's the point. We want to get comfortable in this bottom squat position. Notice that my back's not rounded and I'm not hanging on it. Okay, so I'm still trying to keep proper squat form, but I'm using this for extra support so that I can open up my hips and get comfortable in this bottom squat position. I can also realize like what it feels like to be balanced on my feet. And then I'm gonna walk my hands back up to standing. Okay, so that's 1 rep, and we're gonna do 10 more, or 10 reps total. So we're gonna do 9 more. So again, slowly walking your hands down to the squat, pause, 1, 2, and then push up. All right, so that's 3. When you're down here also, you can push your knee, drive your knees outward and open up those hips a little bit more. It's 5. If you also want to kind of lean onto one leg and get a good stretch in your ankles, that's 6. We're just kind of creating more access to these deeper ranges of motion so that when we go to do squats in the workout and lunges, we can move a lot more free than had we not warmed up those areas. Again, last 2 right here. Drive my knees out, create tension in my glutes. All right, last one. Trying to keep my chest upright. Again, mimicking that good squat position. And back up. There's your wall walk squats. All right, so the last thing that we're gonna do is something to get the heart rate up a little bit. Okay, so we've moved through a lot of new ranges of motion. We've done some stretching, we've done some activation. Now we're gonna try to get the heart rate up, increase the stress, and slowly ramp up so that you're ready to tackle your workout. All right, so the last thing we're gonna do is high knees. Okay, but we're gonna start with a march in place. So from that's gonna look like opposite arm, opposite leg, just like this. Okay, I'll show you from the side. Notice that my toes are pointed up, so I'm not dropping them down like this. I'm keeping them pointed up towards the ceiling. Okay, if plyometric jumping style stuff does not do well with your knees, or it causes any type of pain, or you struggle with it, you can just continue to march in place at a fast pace for 30 seconds. If you can handle plyometrics well, then go ahead and do the full high knees. Okay, so I'm gonna start the timer. We're gonna go for 30 seconds, so whichever variation you are doing, we'll do for the full 30 seconds. All right, ready and go. Again, I'll show you from the side, keeping those toes pointed to the ceiling as much as you can, maintaining opposite knee, opposite arm. All right, we're about halfway. Keep it up. Almost there. 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right, now you're good and ready and warmed up. Tackle that workout.